2 a day. I've been better. Um,
Yeah.
I was annoyed for the last 30 minutes. Like, I thought I could sign off earlier, and then, of course, somebody just dat had to IM me
Ah, got
just as I
got
was
got to
trying to
get
get
that
off.
last. Got to get that last comment in.
The sad part is she was being helpful. It's just I think I fucked up and didn't realize it, and I was getting mad at her for my shit, but
No, I've been there
anyway.
before. I've been there before.
Yeah, it's getting old when you're, like, in your 40s, you know? Alright, Imma start this effect, and then we can get started.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to another 5 Questions with your girl, AJ, the Suburban Princess here. Of all the people I've wanted to interview, out of all the 4th and John guys that I haven't talked to already, this mother father is the one I wanna talk to the most because he is my favorite. If you don't watch 4th and John when they do their live streams weekly, you should. This whole season, Eagle season, has been quite the up and down, and we're going right into the crux of the drama, and I'm sure we'll hear it this week on 4th and John. But please welcome my boy, Evan. What's up, Evan?
AJ, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Always appreciate you in the comment section of and joining in on our show. Yeah, no, it's fun, and I'm glad you're a part of it as well.
I'm telling you, half the time when I send you questions, I know half the time you must be like, "Yo, what is going on with AJ?" 'Cause sometimes I'll be spicy, as Gail would say. I'll be spicy in
I,
the comments from
I'm
time to
not sure if
time.
you've noticed, but I've kind of become accustomed to the spice. I mean, we've added the addition of Hollis Thomas onto the show, and
Yes.
but me and him, we like to butt heads for fun. It
I
happens, you
like
know.
it. I like it,
Yeah,
but it's real. I mean,
it is.
you can fight with your heroes, you can fight with your fellow Eagle players. I mean, sometimes they have a lot of experience, but it's good to hear that fans can actually be objective and it'd be okay. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
I
Yep.
love the back and forth. But all right, well, let's get it started because you're busy. I'm busy. We want to get this popping for the new year. But happy
Let's
new
get
year, by
into
the
it.
way.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well.
All right. So the first question I want to ask you is how do you relax? Because I just ended a very stressful work day. So how do
Mm.
you basically decompress after a long, stressful day?
Well, I mean, do you want the PG version or do you want the honest answer here? To be honest with you, I'm a big believer in herbal supplements, if you will.
Amen.
I like me some marijuana at the end of the day, if I could put it so frankly.
Wacky tobacco.
The wacky tobacco, the devil's lettuce. No, but just being honest, I've never truly been a drinker. Drinking has never been my vice.
Mm,
But I'm a guy that I like chilling out. I like relaxing. I'm somewhat of a hermit in the off season. I like can't nothing gets me more excited than canceled plans when I can just chill on the couch and do absolutely nothing.
are you
That's
that guy too?
I'm that guy too. I am that guy too. Me and my Mary Jane, we love canceled plans. But
We don't want no outside visitors.
yeah, no,
I
but that's
dig
how
it.
I decompress. I think it's something that's worked for me in the past. Yeah, just trying to keep your mind. The stresses of the day, I try not to bring home work stress with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, amen.
Which is hard to do, especially when you have a rough day or something goes wrong at the office. And I have been down that rabbit hole before, where I just sit there and I think about. Um, I messed up real bad today. I wonder what the backlash is going to be like from that. But in reality, one of the things that I have to keep on telling myself is that it's a lot bigger in your mind than it is in other people's.
This is true.
When you mess up, it's such a big deal to you because you're the one that has made that mistake and you're waiting for the repercussions of it. But in reality,
Mhm.
everybody makes mistakes, and so when someone recognizes that you made a mistake, it's not the end of the world. We're all human. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly what I just dealt with coming offline. But yeah, you're right. It's a different thing too when you're working from home because home is work now. So
Hmm.
that shit, unless I literally take a walk like I did today, I will never get away from it. But you're right.
What is your thoughts on the whole transition to the home work life? Because that's something that obviously was started through COVID. Are you a fan of the working from home? Because I mean, obviously, I like not going. I work hybrid. I'm in
Okay.
the office half the week, and the other half I'm working from home. But I found myself. I'm not sure about you. I find it hard. I find myself working longer hours at home just because I feel as if there's no one watching me work, so I want to prove that I'm getting stuff done, and
Absolutely.
sometimes that results in me working longer hours.
No, I agree. I left a job actually because it was hybrid because what the problem was with me was that I wanted the option. And I didn't think they were willing to give us the option because they didn't have a real good answer as to why we couldn't have it. And so to me, that annoyed me. It was also going on 5 years, and I really didn't plan on lasting there too long because honestly, I liked the job mostly because it was downtown in Philly, but I
Mhm.
also had bad luck getting apartments around the area. So I thought, well, while I'm in this kind of weird limbo, remote is pretty much what I need. And if they weren't willing to go fully remote and commit, then I just looked for another job, and it just happened to work out, thank God.
Yeah.
So, but I prefer it just also too. I was going through a lot of health changes in the last 2 years. So it's like, I think since COVID, it probably adhered to the reason why I wanted to just stay remote.
Mhm.
I just felt like even the back and forth at first was like frustrating because like it messed up my whole inner clock and everything. But then it became a regular thing. And then the fact that it just felt like there was no real consolation prize for doing it.
Yeah.
But, like, after a while, I'm like, "You know what? If I can do anything better, I'm gonna take it." So I did. But most people don't tell me they hate remote. I just find it's convenient for me because, like you said, I'm a homebody too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything, it just actually makes that worse, so it's hard for me to get out.
Yeah, yeah, but there is something to like I completely agree. If I had to choose between the two, I'm taking remote all day, every
Me
day.
too.
But I will say that there is something to like I'm in my bedroom right now. This is where I
Yeah,
work,
same,
and I feel
same.
like there should be that separation of like where you work and where you
Yep,
rest. You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep.
So it's almost like when I wake up in the morning, I'm already in my office. That's how it feels sometimes. You
That's what
know?
it is, and that's what
Yeah,
like, all the memes you see of people rolling around and just signing in, that was me for a while
yeah,
when we were completely remote before we went hybrid at my old job, and I realized you're right, that's why I was getting to the point where I was getting stressed because 'cause I'm like, "I really need this to be a this or that situation, like, I can't deal with this back and forth."
exactly.
But moving on from me, good
Hmm.
question though. Have you ever thought about since we know that Ev Daddy, if you know Evan, he's the king of the cheesesteak making tailgate. He's just the guy that you go to. He hooks it up real quick. They got a whole system. Like I said, follow Fourth and John, guys. Since you're so good at making your cheesesteaks, Evan, have you ever thought of just making it a side hustle at some point?
I'm glad that you asked this question because this is something that I have been really considering this year. I'm thinking about. I've kind of built up a network of people that have tried my product, enjoyed it,
Nice.
and so I'm thinking about. I've been thinking, it would be awesome to one day have my own steak shop. You got your Joe's Steaks,
Yeah.
you've got your all this, but you know me if you watch Fourth and John, I am the frugal gang king. I'm not into dropping big sums of money, and so I'm thinking about what is the maximum bang for my buck that I could start out with that doesn't involve buying a truck, getting permits, all these things that are a
Right,
massive
right.
initial investment. And so I've been thinking, just slowly in the works of starting a catering thing in
Nice.
this off season where I could essentially take the materials in which I already have. I can somebody can reach out to me and be like, "Hey, I want to have this party. There's going to be 50 people. I buy the materials for that specifically, and then I can come and cook cheesesteaks at a party." That's
Nice.
really, I think, the beginning avenue and starting this into making this into a real side hustle. But on the other
Nice.
end of that, I also want to. I'm a big believer ever since I always have been in this, but especially ever since I moved into the city and I see the homelessness and the
Yeah.
homeless problem that goes on in this city.
Mhm.
Honestly, my heart breaks every time I leave my house and I'm stepping over top of people
Yeah.
and that's how they're living, especially in the winter when
Yeah.
things are cold and it's vicious
Absolutely.
outside. So I ever since I've moved here, I've been trying to find ways to give back. Whenever we get catering at work, we're in my office, and I
Mhm.
always bring all of that food back and I package it up individually. I go out on the street and I hand it out just because
Nice.
my personal belief is that you have the ability to help. It's your responsibility to do so. So
Amen.
I want to help out as much as I can. And so with that being said, I've also kicked around the idea in the off season of potentially having a fundraiser and then taking all of the money from that fundraiser and going out to a park or something like that and cooking up cheesesteaks for the homeless people.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. And honestly, you know what? You take advantage of the fact because you remember when old Wincy
Yeah,
had his little business.
by Kingdom Crumb.
That
I remember.
Kingdom Crumb, Ev Daddy invites. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be a, you
Hey
know,
man, I would be listen if Carson. I've done a lot of negative talk about Carson in the
Who
past,
hasn't? We all have. We're
but
guilty.
if we're looking at the greater good here, and I really did like his initiative in that Kingdom
Yes.
Come, where he was going out and he was doing the same sort of thing, where he was trying to help food for the homeless. I would love to reconnect with our man number 11, and do some good.
That would be
That would be
good. I
great.
think, and I
Yeah,
bought his t-shirts. Trust me, I supported and supported the when they had the softball tournament. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
we can think maybe the play is trash right now. No longer 2017 Wentz, but we can talk about him as a good human being in terms of that, and
Exactly.
that's something that you could build on. So yeah, that Kingdom Come might be just a little tool you might need. Anyway, so all right, so going back to a guy that believed God, I wanted to ask you:
Mm.
do you have a strong belief in God, and or do you feel a connection with a God?
This is a very complicated one for me.
All right, hit me.
If we are talking about the traditional, I was raised in a Lutheran household as a form of
Okay.
Christianity,
Mhm,
not Catholic, not doesn't take it as seriously as Catholics
mhm,
do.
mm.
But I am also I'm a huge believer in science. So I look at things through a scope that is factually based and things that make sense to me.
Okay,
And if I'm given an honest answer, I do believe in a higher power. I believe
okay.
that there's someone out there that put us all here, and it's such a crazy thing that we're on this rock floating through space and we're all
Mm,
alive. I don't think that that's something that just happened naturally. I think
I
that
don't
there
either.
was some divine intervention that came into it. I just don't think that we as humans have figured it out. I think that
Hell
uh,
no.
I think that there's a lot of speculation with all the different religions: Christianity, Islam, Judaism. I think they all have their take on what happened. I think that there's probably even some truths in all of them,
Mhm,
of things
mhm.
that have happened in the past, but I don't think that any one religion has it exactly right. So I am of the belief that there is a higher power out there. We just don't know what's going on.
I like it. I like that answer actually. And I honestly feel like at this point, and if there's any indication that you may not want to subscribe to a religion, it's right now.
Yeah, but I also want to make the point too, that like what when I was younger, when I was a young brash teenager and I was just saying things to say things,
Yeah.
I was more of the atheist type. But as I've
It does
grown,
not shock me.
as I've grown more as a person, I have not only witnessed and experienced things that truly in my life felt like there was something divine going on. There's no way that the stars are aligning like this. I've had those experiences, but
Mhm.
I also have completely started to understand people that even though I'm not a Christian, even though I'm not Islamic or Jewish, I I understand why people find comfort in religion, and I would never ever bash anybody for any of their religious beliefs, because when you get low and you have no one to lean on, you have no one to talk to, sometimes that's all people have. So I think that even if I don't think what they're believing in may be true, I think that there is power in belief. So
No, I
yeah,
agree with that. It's a good answer because that movie I love, the Before Sunrise. There was my favorite scene where Julia Delpy's character and Ethan Hawke were talking about God, and she was saying, she's like, I think if God came back, I don't think he'd be any one of us. It'd be that space in between. And I'm
exactly,
like, I
exactly.
agree that because we're
Hmm.
definitely not always carrying the truth of the word or however you look at it in the right ways. But good answer.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. So then now going back to you as an individual, since you said you were
Hmm.
talking about your youthful days, what do you find are your strengths? Because I always look at you and you're the guy that makes me laugh the most during the Fourth and
Thank
John streamers because you can go on a tangent that cracks me the fuck up. So I just want you to know what or tell me what makes you the funny, sarcastic, witty guy that I see on the live streams.
I think the main thing is that I always try and keep things lighthearted. I never try and be too serious with anything, which sometimes, in my own personal life can be a detriment when I'm sitting there and I should be taking something more seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
But I am also a guy that I don't know how I do it, honestly, but I can find a silver lining in any situation. Any bad situation
Mhm,
that goes on, I
mhm.
look at it as a learning experience. I can spin things around in my head that I can find the silver lining in any situation. And I think that that is what leads me to be a more positive person and, a more jokey guy. I think
Yeah.
that if I sit here and take everything to heart, take everything so seriously, that would make me more of a curmudgeon.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, like what they say, the Eagles say, "Never get too low, never get too high," that type
Exactly.
of thing.
I believe in
No,
that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, so all right, I'm trying to think. Okay, so number 3, I kind of threw it out there, but basically, I wanted to know what have you learned from relationships? And I'm usually stressing like personal man woman relationships because
Mm.
I say family because that could I know you ain't got that much time, but relationships with a significant other. What has it taught you about yourself?
It's taught me a lot. It's really it has taught me a tremendous amount. I've had all different type. I don't want to. I've had different types of relationships. I've had with different people, I should say. There some of the people, some of the women I've dated are completely opposites of the others, and got to look for something in between.
Mhm, mhm.
I've dated people that were how do I say this delicately?
Keep it clean.
Yeah, I would just say ultra ultra anxious. It got to points where we weren't even going out on dates anymore just because they didn't want to leave the house.
Okay.
And then following that, I went out with somebody who was the complete opposite, who was somebody that
Give me a
would
break.
never had a care in the world. And then I was sitting there like, didn't even have a care in the world. And I'm sitting there like, I can't even tell if you like me or not. Like
Explain.
I need some give back here to let me know
Yeah,
that you're
clarity,
actually into
right.
me because so you just have to I believe that rushing into things is a mistake. I think that you really need
Definitely gotta
to
get to know.
feel things out. Go out on dates, ask questions, find out who this person really is, and don't just get blinded by superficial things like looks and things like that. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if you're looking for a life partner, it's a lot more than just looks. It's an entire person.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Mm.
That's what I'm learning too in my old age, even though I pretty much had said "F you" to dating at this point. I'm on a
Oh,
sabbatical.
please! If Dallas Goddard were to hit you up, you'd be turned over tomorrow.
Like, realistically, I'm trying to look. I look at that too. I don't know if you saw the clip I posted of that one podcast that went around and asked people who would you have a one night stand with. I'm like,
Yeah,
ding.
ding ding,
I mean,
PG.
realistically. Anyway, moving on. I'm not a whore, but anyway. All right. So last, I want to just pick your brain about how you're feeling about this weekend's game because
Mm,
at this point, like we said, I know from watching the live stream, we shouldn't even be in this position, but here we are.
yeah.
So, do you feel that, especially with Lane's condition, which I do not feel good at all? I don't care about in the playoffs either. I don't
Mhm.
like him trying to play on it because I feel like all he needs is one wrong shove and
Yep.
right off. I mean, that's what happened with Deshaun. Look what happened. We got him at a time when he had a slight injury and it got worse. So, what are your
Exactly.
thoughts about this last game?
If I'm being real, I think that this game, I think that the past two games, people have I think I think that the losses have really weighed on people more than they should have. I think you have to look at this objectively. Gardner Minshew is not Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has proven to be an MVP caliber player this year. I think about if in that Dallas game, it was 40-34. We
Mhm.
came out with a solid game plan. We just weren't good enough to execute and win the game
Right.
at the end. But
Right.
we did that all with a backup quarterback against an elite defense in the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that if you inject an MVP caliber player into a team that is already that good, I really don't fear that much. And then you also have to consider the fact that the Giants are most likely going to be resting their starters, which is kind of crazy to think about, considering
Yeah, it
they're
is.
so much lower down on the standings than us, and they are in a position where they
Right.
can rest their starters, but we're in a
Right.
position where we have to play ours. I know that there was a lot of people that were concerned about, getting, and I agree with you. I think Lane is the number one biggest concern because,
Yeah.
I mean, that is a guy that hasn't given up a sack in 2 years,
Exactly.
and
So,
he's completely underappreciated in that position.
yes, he is.
But But I will say that if we get that first round bye, which I anticipate us getting, we have that week off, and then I mean, that Monday night thing, that was a scary, scary thing with
Yeah.
Damar Hamlin. First of all, I just
Yes.
want to say, prayers out
Yes.
to him and his family. We're
Absolutely.
all sitting there thinking about him. But if we're looking about how this affects the Eagles and how this affects the rest of the league, and not trying to be insensitive,
Mm-mm.
but most likely what's going to happen is that the league is going to have to extend the season by another week, and
Right.
that will just be a week where the Bills and Bengals are playing, and in turn will give every team another week to get ready for the playoffs.
True.
I believe how it'll play out, and so that could be beneficial to Lane Johnson. It's just such a shame that the
That's
reason that we
what
get
might
that
happen.
extra bye week is because of what happened. And again, I just want to say, I pray that Damar is able to pull through for this. It was a
I do
truly
too.
scary thing.
I think the best thing that happened is that the fact that he's gotten down to 50% on that breathing machine, which means that
Hmm.
he's starting to get his strength back. And I'm praying. I even put on Twitter, it's like, I hope that even by the end of the week, homeboy can even flick his eyes or show any kind of motion, because
I know that
it's
my
gonna
my
obviously take all year for him to get back to himself.
And my biggest concern is just how long his brain wasn't getting oxygen. I mean, I'm not
Right.
a doctor or anything like that, but I know that
That's vital.
any amount of time that your brain isn't getting oxygen is a long time,
A
and
loss.
and and it can and it can cause significant brain damage. And I just hope that everything goes as perfectly as possible.
I mean, honestly, it'd be nothing short of a miracle if he comes back with like hardly any damage. I mean,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is a miracle, and but I pray for him too. Trust me, because I'm like, that was a nasty situation. I
Mm.
think they should have ended that game sooner, but whatever.
Yeah,
It
that
is
that
what
was
it
that was
is.
kind of crazy how and now like there's all this going back and forth about whether
Yeah,
or not there was they said 5 minutes or not. Like
yeah.
if
Somebody's
that
trying
was
to
what
save
was
their
actually
ass.
said, if that's what was actually said, and they're talking about get back out there in 5 minutes, that's disgraceful. I
That's
mean,
that's my point, and that's
yeah,
why I knew when I saw Diggs trying to warm up the guys. I said, no, they are not going to try to make them play.
yeah, yeah.
It was ridiculous, but Josh Allen's reaction alone, and
I,
uh
I
Ladavius White, White,
yeah,
the
yeah,
corner.
yeah. I just want to say that huge kudos to those coaches, because from the way
Yes.
that the story is kind of seeming like it's playing out is that the NFL was pushing them to play,
Mhm.
and the coaches just made an agreement of "Fu NFL, we're
Basically.
closing this down." Which, I mean, kudos to them, because that was obviously the right move, and that was
Mhm.
it took some cojones to go against the boss man like that, but it
Absolutely.
was absolutely the right decision.
Especially in a week that normally they didn't have. That's what gets me. This whole
Hmm.
thing wouldn't have happened had they not added this extra week. That's what
Yeah.
pisses me off the most about it, because this didn't even have to happen.
Exactly, and
Anyway.
for a league that talks so much and tries to pump themselves up as huge advocates for player safety, this year has been a mess between the
It
Tua concussions, between the Josh Sweat's injury. That was a
that
freak
was
thing, and
scary.
I'm glad that he seems like he's doing all right,
Yeah.
but this is a dangerous game, AJ, and I think that like there's going to be huge fallout from this. I think that there's going to be less kids
Yeah.
enrolled in youth football next year. I
Yep.
think that it's crazy that
It's
there's
gonna affect everything like dominoes, and it's honestly gonna make this off season longer now for the and
Mhm,
the NFL offices, because they have to cover their ass now. There's too
100%.
many examples that they've been looking like hypocrites, even going back to the whole domestic abuse thing.
Yeah,
So
100%.
they can't really, if you're gonna be on one side, you gotta stay there. You can't play both sides. If you wanna just be a sports organization and not take sides, then don't try to act like you co-signing on all this other stuff,
And
because you clearly aren't.
let's
But
not
yeah.
forget about the Deshaun Watson thing too. I mean,
Exactly.
it just
And
gets darker and darker the more you look at it.
darker and darker, and it's sad because he just embarrassed himself on top
Hmm.
of obviously his off field behavior, but now he just showed exactly why he didn't deserve that guaranteed contract.
Exactly,
And yet
exactly.
Lamar can't get paid, but don't get me started on that.
Yeah, it's
Anyway, but
silly.
Evan, I honestly am so glad that you made some time. I know you busy, but I appreciate you. 5 questions, appreciate you. Hopefully I'll
AJ.
get more time with y'all, you know. You
Absolutely.
know.
I can't wait to hop on again. I want to thank you for having me on, first of
Yes.
all, and I also want to thank you for being such a huge fan of Fourth and John as well.
Oh
It's
yes.
greatly appreciated. You're a true OG, been here since the beginning, and that really really don't think that it doesn't go unappreciated.
Oh yeah, I just wish my butt would get off my butt and get to an actual tailgate, but it just wasn't working out for me physically. The way my body
I'll
been
have a
working.
cheesesteak waiting for you. I'll have a
I
cheesesteak
know, and
waiting
that's
for
why
you.
every time it's warm, I'm like, "Yo, why?" But then it's like I roll out of bed. I know
I
what
gotta
happened
be
last
honest.
time.
I gotta
It's
be
hard.
honest. I don't blame you in the slightest because if there's one thing, so I work 2 to 10. That's my shift,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful for it because I am not a morning person. If you get ask
Yeah.
Gail or Prime, I tell them all the time. It's like, yeah, I'll be there at 6:30 in the lot. Roll up at like 8. As soon as that alarm goes off in the morning, I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
Dude.
I hate mornings more than anything.
Me
So
too.
I'm,
Me
I'm
too.
I'm completely with you, especially when it's cold, because that's
Well,
just
yeah.
who wants to be out there in the cold and
Yeah, the last 2
miserable.
freakish weeks have been great, but it's like, even then, I said, "I know these last 2 games were home," but I'm like, "I don't feel like getting up." I just and it sucks because I wish if I don't have my car right now anymore because I was mostly downtown, so there was no need for a car. But
Right.
it's like, to me, I don't have anybody in the area that I could even crash with or even watch the game afterwards. Like, I would have to spend
Yeah.
all that time getting back into the burbs,
Yep.
not
Yep.
paying at Xfinity Live if I don't have
Oh,
tickets to go into the stadium. It's ridiculous.
Xfinity Live is a rookie move in my in
I'm just
my own
saying,
opinion.
so yeah,
I
no, you're
yeah,
right.
I think that, it's just it's so a frugal
It's
gang speaking
overpriced.
here. It's overpriced as hell
No, it
as
is
an
overpriced,
Xfinity.
and they know it. Like,
Yeah.
I've only gone there mostly for when they had the Fan Fest for 97.5, and honestly, then I would splurge,
Right.
every now and
Right.
then if I didn't feel like rushing back home, but, yeah, it's hard for when you're not from directly in the city. It's a trek,
Totally. Totally.
and you get tired of it, but I never get tired of you, and I will definitely be, checking for y'all's next live stream, and, go Birds, as we always say, we just
Go
don't
Birds.
embarrass us this weekend, we really can't afford it mentally because it'd be dumb if they lost right now, like, seriously
Absolutely.
dumb. But, alright, Ev, we gonna talk, you'll see me in the comments, and,
Thank you, AJ.
Imma talk to y'all later, thanks for watching 5 Questions, and, shout out to Ev. I'll put his, information, and, go follow him and go follow Fourth and John. Thanks for
Thank you,
watching.
AJ. Have a great night.
Bye.